Alright guys, I want to talk about these OG South Beach Preheat LeBron 8s. They came out in 2010 and they're the first colorway of the LeBron 8 that Nike ever released. Let's go back to 2010 and talk about what was going on in the world of LeBron James. So, after 7 seasons with the Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron James announced to the world that he was taking his talents to South Beach to play for the Miami Heat. Everybody was up in arms over his decision, except for the people in Miami. And LeBron was highly criticized for making this move. Nike decided to capitalize on LeBron's trade by coming up with a pair of shoes that was inspired by Miami Vice. That's the colorway that you'll see here with the blue and the pink and the black. It's very reminiscent of the 1980s television show and movie Miami Vice. When these shoes came out, they were incredibly popular, they sold out right away, and nowadays they're worth in excess of $1,500. You'll notice when you have a close look at the shoe that it has a big air bubble that goes all the way around it. LeBron 7s also have this big air bubble, but before the LeBron 7, all of the LeBron shoes had Zoom Air in them. And you'll also notice a flywire upper on this shoe, which was a relatively new innovation at the time. The flywire are these little cables that you'll see on the upper of this shoe. Now, a lot of people actually think that this was the first Miami Vice-inspired Nike, and it wasn't. I'm going to break out another pair of Miami Vice-inspired shoes, and before I do that, I want to show off this pair, which is autographed by John Jay. He's a World Series champion. He was born and raised in Miami, and when he came to the ShoeZeum, he flipped out over these shoes, and I asked him if he wanted to autograph the Saran wrap, which he did. You can see the autograph right there, and after I gave John a guided tour of the collection, he actually gave me tickets to go and see him play against the Padres. So I'm going to put these over here and whip out the next pair of shoes inspired by Miami Vice. Nike did a really amazing job with these Air Max 95s. You rarely see Nike take the Air Max 95 silhouette and customize it like this. Don't get me wrong, there's a ton of different versions of 95s, but there's not a whole lot that are inspired by television shows or movies. And if you look at the tongue closely, you'll see that it has the font from Miami Vice. On the insoles, it says Miami 2008, very reminiscent of the font from the old television show. And on the insole of this shoe, there's actually a flamingo. I hope you can make that out there. These beautiful soles that are sort of icy, they just match these LeBrons beautifully. And I had them on display in the ShoeZeum next to one another. A lot of people would be like, hey, how come you got the LeBrons on display with Air Max 95s? And the reason why is because I thought that the shoes sort of played well off of one another. So the LeBron South Beach, the South Beach Air Max 95, but I want to show you the original shoe that was made for the Miami Heat. And it's these right here in this vintage box. These are called the Air Bacon. B-A-K-I-N. Not bacon like food, but bacon like baking or cooking. So when this shoe came out, 1997, it was made for Timmy Hardaway. And it was Tim's second signature shoe. The first one was the Air Raid, which was made for outdoor basketball. This shoe was made for indoor basketball, and if you look closely, it says non-marking sole. Nike wanted to make it real clear to basketball players that even though the sole was black, it wouldn't mess up the court and it could be worn indoors. So obviously you can see that the shoe is red, yellow, and black. Those are the colors of the Miami Heat. And Tim wore this shoe when he was traded to the Miami Heat. He played most of his career with the Golden State Warriors. Nike also released this shoe in blue, which was worn by Mitch Richmond, and Dennis Rodman wore a pair of these Air Bacons. So crazy thing about this shoe, it was recalled by Nike. Look closely at the back heel and you'll see the word air in fire. If you look at the tongue, you can also see the word air in fire. And it also is underneath this little window on the sole that you can't really see because it's fogged up. But the reason why these shoes were recalled is people complained that the word air looked like the word Allah on fire. And everyone was really upset about this. So Nike recalled the Air Bacons. They took a Sharpie and blacked out the window on the bottom, came up with a little black patch that they covered this and this up, and then they re-released the shoe. This shoe was also retroed a few years back and the air part was not on the retro shoes. I guess they didn't want any of the controversy. These days, when people think of Miami, the Miami Heat, for some reason they think of these pre-Heat South Beaches, but the original Heat shoes are this, and you can tell because of the colorway on them. Absolutely love these shoes, love these ones as well, and I think these just make a really beautiful pair with the LeBrons. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.